Good to see you guys again. Hopefully, you guys are smiling over the camera. I have 4 books that I'm bringing to you guys that I recommend if you are starting to get involved in the stock market, or you're thinking of going into the stock market but don't know how. I got 4 books that I recommend you guys to start reading and to continue reading as you go on. Stay tuned. Welcome, guys. I'm your host, Hank. Welcome to SimpleChew. And if you're into investment, stock investment, any kind of investment, business investments, or you're trying to create your own business, or you're into personal growth, I suggest you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Remember to give it a thumbs up. All 4 of these books that I'm recommending to you guys are not in any particular order of which one is best or which one is worse. It's just books that are been around for a long time, and a lot of the top investors actually have read these books and they have recommended it to people. Some of my mentors actually recommended these books to me too, and I've been reading them, and I kept reading them throughout the years because there's always things to learn. The first book that people have recommended me to read, and I recommend you guys to read too, is The Intelligence Investor. This book is super great if you know a little bit of the terminologies about investment. If you're not, you have to have an investment dictionary. There's a bunch of websites. I can list down below some of the glossaries and investment dictionaries that you will need. But The Intelligent Investor is a great book to start with if you are trying to learn how to invest on your own, or if you have a mentor but you don't want to ask them a lot of basic questions, but you just want to. It's a great book. Most of this, I don't want to go into a review of this book, but mostly this book is talking about how to control your emotional aspect of investing, and how to go back into history, and how to find trends that you can find on the future, even though the history of stock doesn't mean it's gonna be the same for the future, but it's just a starting point of you to learn how to invest in the stock market. Great book, it's an easy read, but you still need to know some of the terminologies of investing. The second book that I recommend you guys to read is the Flash Boys. This book is great because, if you guys already know, I'm not into speculating. I hate speculators. I'm not into that world of going to penny stocks to make a couple of bucks like that and eventually have this delusional idea that I'm gonna become rich with penny stocks. This book kind of bursts that bubble of penny stocks and speculating ideas, because Michael Lewis goes deep on why you're gonna lose on penny stocks, even though people are claiming that they're making a couple of dollars in it. Great book because it just talks about how Wall Street has better equipment than you. If you're trying to do penny stocks at your house or your home and you have slow ass internet, this book goes deep on why you're losing. Fantastic book. Super easy to read. The third book is Security Analysis. This book is thick. It's long. It's really detailed. So this book is made by the same author, Ben Graham, of The Intelligent Investor, but this one goes more deeper than The Intelligent Investor. It goes into bonds. If you're gonna go into bond investment, it goes into stock markets, just regular stocks. And it also explains why you should go to bonds if the stocks. So it's a really comprehensive book. It's deeper. This book is very recommended. You need to read it, the whole thing. Even if you're just interested in stock, you should read everything that Ben Graham is talking about in this huge thick book. So it's super easy to read. Again, you still need to know the terminology of investment. If you're not, you have to have one of the online dictionaries. There's a bunch of them. But this book, if you find this book boring in any shape or form, or you're skipping, you're not gonna do well in the stock market, because A lot of the stock market is reading 10Ks, filings, and 10K is just the annual filing that a lot of publicly traded companies are putting out for investors to read. 10Ks can be really tedious to read, a lot of terminology that you don't understand, and this book kind of breaks it down for you to understand what you should be looking at, also the emotional aspect that you need to focus on, not to be really on the speculating mindset. Also, it teaches you that you need to stand your ground. If you believe in the company, that you believe the company is going to do great in the future. This book, it's one of those books that you need to read every year, once, twice, 3 times a year, to keep focused, because it's easy to lose focus once you start reading the newspaper or you start watching TV and they're talking about a company is going down, up, and you're trying to get that hot stock. This book is going to teach you to stay your ground, to focus on your objective and your goal on your investment portfolio. Great book, but you need to read everything in this book. You need to read about the bond history. You need to read about the fixed assets. You need to read everything and to understand the difference of every piece in the investment world. This book I think every investor has read this book. Warren Buffett, Peter Lynch, everybody has read this book. So by now you already read, let's say, The Intelligent Investor, The Security Analysis, and The Flash Boys. That's some good starting point to begin in the investment world, to understand what's going on, who's the players, what the terminology, what's the kind of emotion you have to develop to be an investor, especially in the stock market. It's really easy to get confused or get charged up and motivated to do some things that it's just gonna make you lose money at the end of the day. And losing money, as Warren Buffett says, is the first rule not to do. Don't lose money. So after you read all those books, there's a workbook that you should purchase. It's the Buffettology. Great workshop to learn on your own. There's not a lot of classes you can take, courses. There's workshops that you can go, but if you want to learn on your own, this is a great book to start. It's a great book to start putting your knowledge to the test. It has questions, hypothetical questions that, okay, let's say if you want to invest on this, and it makes you go and search real-time analysis. You need to find real numbers and then plug them in each quadrant, and then you go from there, and then you can make a decision if you want to buy the stock. It's really basic work book. It just goes and tests your knowledge of all the books you have read, and also tests your emotion and tests your just ability to think as an investor. It's just trying to mold you into that character, and then you can make real-time decisions. You can start investing. You're still gonna have some questions, and there's a bunch of other books you can read that I read too that I can recommend. But you can read all these books, but it's like you can read about books about riding a bike, but if you never ride the bike, you never test it, you're never gonna learn. So it's the same thing with these books. You can read them and reread them and learn all the terminologies, concepts, but at the end of the day, it's all about practice. You can make fake portfolios, dummy portfolios where you're playing with fake money, and you can start there. That's a great way to start. But then you have to go, and if you want to make real money, you have to go to the real market, open an investment account, and start buying stocks. But great way if you are starting, or you're in the middle, you're in the intermediate, or you're expert. Great books to read and keep reading, because there's always something new to learn, and these things you forget about, especially in the emotional. That's one of the key things about investment, is to keep your emotions in check and to know and write down your goals or what you're trying to accomplish with your investment portfolio. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully after watching my video you understand the couple of steps you need to take if you want to learn about the stock market. A couple of books that I recommend. A lot of the big investors are reading these books, read these books, are still reading these books. Remember guys, to like the